Hi guys, welcome to another episode of A Tincture of Sense. On today's episode, as always, I have a question for you guys. So my question is, who discovered the source of River Niger? Now, if you guys guessed Monroe Park, you'd be correct. That's what we were taught, and that's what the history books say. Now, I have another question though. What were the names of the indigents, the locals that went with Monroe Park on this voyage of discovery? Does anyone know? Or did he discover the source of Niger on his own? Could he have? For those of you that said yes, I say, really?
A good narrative about people, places, and events is quite important. One might even make the case that having the right narrative is everything. Well, who knows if this is true? It might actually be a good narrative. You never can tell. Anyway, I don't think anyone will argue that words and stories can have a profound impact on how people see themselves and how they interact with the world. The narratives around people such as Monroe Park totally ignores or erases the efforts of people that were central to helping them achieve the goals they are celebrated for. While Monroe Park's story is ancient, modern day examples abound. People see Microsoft and the name that comes to mind is Bill Gates. Same thing with Apple. People think Steve Jobs. Even Tesla, it's Elon Musk. All one-man armies that built their companies from scratch all by themselves. Did anyone help them? Well, no one worthy of mention, obviously. This isn't just a tech industry phenomenon though. It happens in the music industry as well, albeit in a different form. For example, you have a band with 3-4 more members and it seems the executives in the music industry aren't happy until the group is split up and the lead singer is given a solo career. It happened with Jackson 5 and Michael Jackson, with NSYNC and Justin Timberlake, and a host of other groups. In popular culture across the globe, collective effort doesn't appear to be a thing people are really into and appreciate. The narrative propagated and promoted is of the lone superman and superwoman creating products, building companies, and making change due to the sheer force of their personality, vision, and intelligence. This is a global cultural phenomenon that individuals really don't have much control over. It's just what it is. There are other narratives people have control over though. Narratives that can arise from what students are taught in school and learn. Case in point, how can a textbook in this day and age still teach students that the way to carry items is on their head? How are children reading such books supposed to think? Will they be able to envision other ways to solve load carrying problems when they're being taught that their head is the solution? Is there still a Ministry of Education or has it been scrapped? If the ministry still exists, what are they doing about this and other egregious and unbelievably ridiculous things that will most definitely still be lurking in textbooks across the country? There needs to be a concerted effort to review these textbooks, get rid of the outdated content some might still contain, and update them for the 21st century. It's high time this takes place. If we're not shaping the hearts and minds of our children and teaching them how to apply themselves to be the best they can, what in the world are we doing? Oh, I know. Some schools are teaching primary school students to become prayer warriors. Well, not that there's something wrong with prayers, there isn't. The problem lies with people thinking all they need to do is pray and all their problems will be solved. When children as young as 5 are being encouraged to pray like white garment prophets on a 3-day prayer and fasting session, what do they expect them to do when they're confronted with issues and trying to solve problems later in life? They have a job interview? Pray. An exam? Pray. They need a visa? Well, that one requires prayer, fasting, as well as unmerited favor. People might think I'm being overly simplistic about this, but the things children, teenagers, and even adults observe and participate in are powerful and influential in quite a lot of ways. We are regaled on a seemingly daily basis about all sorts of miracles that happen, just not to people we know. The person that traveled out of the country with no passport, the person that teleported across European countries, Star Trek style, the pastor that conjured a pastor for a congregant from his shoe, and so on and so forth. Is it surprising that an unbelievable large number of people are content and actually look forward to getting solutions to their needs, wants, issues, and the country's problems from prayers and they are abroad? The solutions to problems don't reside with them. but with individuals and institutions abroad and God in heaven. These same people will turn around and complain bitterly about the high exchange rate, partly caused by their insatiable appetite for foreign products and solutions. Anyway, that's a topic for another episode. Now, China. China was a military and economic powerhouse 1,000 years ago, but 60 years ago, it was a backwater where tens of millions of citizens died in a famine. Now they are an economic, technological, and military powerhouse. They remembered how great they once were and ensured the narrative of their greatness was inculcated into their citizens. I'm not saying the growth of China over the past half century was solely due to the narrative the country told their citizens, not in the slightest. Their leaders developed a plan to return them to their economic heyday, and education about their history was part of that plan. We can be sure prayer and fasting wasn't. At least not in the way it's known to Christians, because Chinese leaders aren't religious. Only about 5% of Chinese are Christians. What story are we telling about ourselves? What narrative would our children glean from what they're being taught? While we're on the subject of China, some are accusing the government of selling Nigeria's sovereignty to China by borrowing incessantly from them. While this accusation appears to be sensationalism and politically motivated, thinking about it though, maybe we should sell a little uninhabited island to them in exchange for the economic plan. Not necessarily to copy and paste it, but to study it, adapt it, and use what we can and ignore the rest. Having the real template for the greatest economic growth the world has ever seen will be worth losing an island for, no? If this can work, the narrative writes itself, doesn't it? We need to be circumspect about what we say, especially when it comes to telling stories and weaving a narrative about Nigeria. If you currently don't see anything positive around you, 50 years from now, everything might still be the same. If today, both the government and citizens do not make the necessary and very much required political, economic, and educational changes.
Now, think about what the Chinese people dying of hunger 60 years ago were going through. Could you have imagined the China of today? Now, are you and millions of other Nigerians starving to death today? No. That's great. So just as some people in China, in the midst of the famine, could envision a better China, a better country, we should be able to do it in Nigeria as well, and envision a better Nigeria and do the things we need to do to make that vision come true in the decades to come. So if we don't, we might not want to do it for ourselves, but let's do it for the children. Do it for the kids. Now, if you don't want to do it for the kids, I have a nice tincture of sense right there that might change your mind. So on that note, I'm just going to say thanks for watching. Look out for our next video next week.